Hello, everybody. So I've got a really great question today, and I definitely feel like a lot of coaches and just folks in general are experiencing the exact same thing due to the algorithm significantly shifting from what they were, a couple years back. So today's question comes from Stephanie, and she asks,
I've been coaching for 11 years now, and I have a pretty good sized platform, a good following. People love my content, but I've been noticing that it's been more difficult to find our ideal clients. We used to only use Facebook. We did Facebook Lives, and we got all of our clients that way. But a few years ago, when the algorithms changed, it also changed the way that we were acquiring new potential clients. So I would love to hear your input for us as someone who helps really on a holistic level women stop self-abandoning themselves and learn to trust themselves, specifically after toxic relationships or maybe even during them, so they can make better decisions for themselves and really truly live amazing lives. I currently use pretty much all the social media platforms, but maybe there's some insight that I'm missing out, and I would love to hear it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stephanie McPhail, for the awesome question. I definitely do appreciate you taking the time to submit it. And I feel like a lot of, people are in the same boat. So let's dive on into the answer, because I know that's why you're all here. But before I dive into the answer, I do encourage you all to go visit Stephanie over on social media and give her and her business some love. She shares really great content online. I'm a big fan, and I have a feeling that you will be as well. So be sure to go, spread the love. All of her links and everything like that will be in the description bar below. So I know you mentioned in your question that a few years back, Facebook and Facebook Lives were your main platform. And if it was working for you then, I'm all for that and I totally support it. I do often tell clients that I'd rather them spend their time and energy working on platforms that really do work and serve them than trying to be all over the internet on, 5, 6, 7 plus platforms, just kind of hoping one of them will stick. But you have to take that information with a grain of salt. I typically recommend that my clients spend the majority of their time on around 2 or 3 platforms, and they can put, of course, more love and attention and emphasis on the main platform that serves them best, but still not ignoring the 1 or 2 secondary options that are kind of, I guess you could say, a backup in case things change. Because the truth is, we do not own our social media channels, and when algorithms change, when trends change, it really is out of our control. So having other platforms to rely on is definitely super important. So basically in 2026, you want to be discoverable in multiple places. Since you are targeting women who are, dealing with difficult situations in their relationships, I feel like for you specifically, being on Instagram and TikTok would be your 2 best choices right now. So that way you could put emphasis on videos as much as possible, assuming you feel comfortable with that. I feel like for me personally, when I'm dealing with something, very significant, I like to actually watch creators and hear them speak about it and their experience and their feedback. I actually prefer to see, a human sitting down and chatting and sharing, their general feedback, ideas, advice, as opposed to reading, a huge article and just getting overwhelmed and lost in the words. So with that said, I definitely would say that TikTok and Instagram Reels would be a really good option. So you can sit down and film some videos showcasing, who you are, what you do, and why you are an expert in your field and how you can best support them. And then if you'd like, you could also repurpose those reels across other platforms such as Facebook or YouTube Shorts. I feel like it's kind of a common misconception that if you don't regularly market who you are, what you do in every post, people will kind of forget. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's super important to have a solid combination, both promotional, self-serving content, but then actual, giving advice style of content. So before you sit down and make content, I want you to really visualize who you want sitting in the chair. What are they dealing with? How are they feeling? And what can you do to, brighten up their day and give them some insights? Think about what they deal with and feel on a day-to-day basis, and make content geared towards them by giving genuine and honest and thoughtful advice. These videos do not have to be long by any way, shape, or form. They could be on the short end 30 seconds, the long end around 5 minutes, just to be, more social friendly. And if you do want to make longer content for, YouTube or anything along those lines, you could cut it up into shorter snippets so it's more social media friendly. On all platforms, basically, the algorithm does really love when people, comment and like on content, especially the first, hour or so after it's uploaded. So making content that really encourages people to like and comment is also super key. If you like, a little bonus tip I recommend is asking questions both in the opening line and on the final line of the caption. So that way it encourages people to share, their genuine feedback, and then it starts conversation. The next point I want to touch base on is using search-based content, not just algorithm-friendly content. Hopefully I could explain this well. So I feel like there's a couple types of content out there. So there's algorithm-friendly content, which basically is content that the algorithm, will push out day or week or maybe even month tops if it's something that's super trendy and viral and going on. But then there's also search-based content, which may not be the most algorithm-friendly, if you will, but it's the kind of content that people are actually genuinely typing into, the search bar and really need some advice on, or just want to hear someone else's general feedback. Sorry, everyone. I just totally cut off there. My alarm on my phone went off and it stopped filming. So I'm just gonna rewind a little bit to where I was a couple minutes back. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and billions of people are typing into that search bar every single day. How to achieve XYZ, how to get XYZ, how to learn XYZ. And basically, I want you to make content that answers those top questions, and people are searching on a day-to-day basis, because that will help you come up in people's feeds, not just today or this week for a trendy topic, but time and time again over the next months and years, which will help you get, regular and ongoing leads. If you're not sure what people are typing into the search bar, I would honestly just go into ChatGPT or another AI platform and ask them for some general tips and advice. You would be pleasantly surprised how helpful it can be, and I use it time and time again for myself and for my clients. The last piece of advice I want to give you is to build an actual strong community and not just a following. I tell everyone I know I'd rather see you have 100 really strong and loyal and supportive followers online than 1,000 or 2,000 people who follow you but never keep up with your content, especially since you're targeting women who are in need of healing from toxic relationships. It's super important to have a space that makes them feel safe and heard and trusted to want to communicate with you, but also to the people who follow you. So potentially, I know this isn't social media related, but a bonus hack may be to think about having an email list. So you can send your list regular tips and tricks and general advice you'd share on social media. And then in your emails, you can let them know that your inbox is always open and they have, the ability to respond to you whenever they like. And then you can get back to them in, 48 hours or so. You could figure out a system that works for you, but having it be a little bit more private and personal may be a potential tip that may help some women feel more comfortable. And then you may be wondering, well, how do I get people on this list? Of course, you can use your social media to promote the list and let people know that it actually exists. Or on your website, you could have a little pop-up that encourages folks to sign up. And then you could even give them an incentive to make it a bit more exciting, if you will. Because I know some people could be a little hesitant to give out their email. So you could offer, a free ebook in exchange for their sign up, or you could offer to put them in a draw to win, a 30-minute or 1-hour session or something along those lines. Whatever makes more sense for you and you feel your audience would enjoy. I definitely recommend that. Basically, long story short is if you have a really strong and solid community who loves and supports you, the algorithm can definitely not take that away from you, because if people keep up with your content and they love you and support you, they won't wait for the content to come up on their feed when they're scrolling. They'll go out of their day to actually type your name into the search bar and see what you are up to. I encourage you to visit Stephanie McPhail on her social media and her website and all the good stuff. Her links will be down below, so go be sure to send her some love, as she is very smart and educated and makes fantastic content I love, and I'm confident you will feel the same way once you go visit her online. Thank you so much for watching until the end. And if you'd like to have your question submitted in the next video, feel free to email it on over for a chance to be featured. My email will be in the description bar below. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.